Frequency. Isolated showers today turning to rain in Bay of Plenty and Coromandel for a time this morning, clearing in the evening. For Gisborne and Hawke's Bay, rain spreading south this morning with heavy falls mainly for Gisborne, clearing in the evening. Waitomo to Wellington, including the central high country, also Wairarapa, Marlborough, Nelson and Buller. Fine spells and isolated showers, mainly in the afternoon and evening, with possible thunderstorms and localised downpours inland. For westlands and Hilldoms, showers, some heavy and possibly thundery morning and evening. The Canterbury today, scattered morning rain, followed by isolated showers, some possibly heavy, then clearing in the evening. Otago and Southland, cloudy periods, isolated showers, late rain for Western, Southland and Stewart Island. And for the Tasman Islands, cloudy with drizzle early morning, then expecting rain tonight. We do have some weather warnings in place at the moment. An orange heavy rain warning is in place for Gisborne, Tairāwhiti, about and north of Tolaka Bay. This is for the 17 hours from 9 o'clock last night through until 2 o'clock this afternoon, expecting between 125 to 175 millimetres of rain during that time. Peak intensities mostly 20 to 30 millimetres an hour, but there is a possibility of rates reaching 30 to 35 millimetres an hour for a time. We also have a heavy rain watch in place for Gisborne, Tairāwhiti, south of Tolaka Bay, and this one kicks in from 3 o'clock this morning through until 4 o'clock in the afternoon. A period of heavy rain amounts may approach warming criteria, so that is for Gisborne, Tairāwhiti, south of Tolaka Bay, and also for the Westland and Grey districts, the 13 hours from 11 o'clock last night through until midday today. So some heavy rain expected for some parts of the country. In fact, by the looks of the short forecast, expecting rain for many areas, and I know that it will be welcome in some parts of the country which are very, very dry at the moment. You're listening to RNZ's National and the all-night program. I'll have more news and weather for you at 2 o'clock. Nice to have you along for the early hours of a Monday morning. My name is Angie Spears, and I'm here through until 5 o'clock this morning, and looking forward to Nathan Riley returning with first up. But in the meantime, lovely to have you along wherever you are listening in the country or beyond. If you'd like to get in touch, 2101 is our text number. You can also email the program allnight at rnz.co.nz. I just would also mention that if you've been missing the company of the wonderful Vicky Mackay, she returns tomorrow morning. It's been an absolute pleasure to run for her over the summertime, but if you have been missing her, she returns tomorrow. It is now 7 minutes past 1, and this is Country Life Summer, the best of 2023.
Kia ora, Estefano. Welcome to the Country Life Summer Series. I'm Duncan Smith. We're looking back at some of the stories we brought you in 2023. And today, Sully's at a dairy shed with a difference, and Leah finds out how a farmer has turned around his depleted land. But first, we're heading to Charleston on the west coast, which, surprisingly, is home to a grove of exotic plants, including bananas. Cosmic English Barnes is with John Collier, a self-taught botanist, and wants locals to start planting edible perennials not commonly found in the region. He already has them growing in his nursery and food forest.
We're on the north side of the Nile or Waitakere River, surrounded on its 4 sides by native bush, and listening to some distant sounds of the birds in the hill. How much land do you own here? So our property is 62 hectares, and probably about 61 of that is relatively mature native forest. And yeah, there's 20-metre limestone cliffs hiding in the forest there that we can't see because it's all behind the trees. Tell me what you do here. Okay, on this piece of land? Yeah. So what we do is we trial a lot of stuff. I'd probably say the key word is research, and I guess trialing as well. And a lot of it is new crops or existing crops in slightly different ways. Lots of very unusual stuff. So how many plants have you got in total? How many different varieties do you think?
Different varieties or seed sources, probably 300 I'd estimate. There's at least 1,000 plants at last count, and that was quite a while ago. We're probably close to 2,000.
And you've got the nursery in a big clearing. Beautiful plants.
So the nursery at the moment, I have a mostly full-time desk job. So I'm a software engineer. I work 4 days a week for a Wellington company. But definitely we're looking to scale the nursery and get some local people employed in the nursery.
Yes. So you're turning this nursery into a business.
So what we want to make is something called a social enterprise. So it's kind of a hybrid between a business and a charity. So in the case of a charity, you need a board, and the board can sort of control how the charity evolves, whereas in a social enterprise, I can still be in charge. But you're not making any profit. It all goes to the employees, back into the business.
Yes.
And to the community. So the ideal way that things will go is that we will get the community growing all of these different food plants, whatever succeeds the best. And if they do so well that we then go out of business, that's what we consider a success. This is purely just how do we get food plants into the community and change how the region is growing food.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Show me some of your favourite plants.
Ooh. Just step over this over here. Yeah, so let's see what we have here. One plant we grow quite a lot of is lacuna. This is a lacuna over here.
How would you describe that?
So lacuna is a South American sort of mountain plant. The fruit is roughly the same size as an avocado, dark green kind of skin. Now the inside of the fruit, it's a very vibrant orange colour, very rich orange, a bit like one of the orange kernels. And I describe the flavours as being like a triangle. So at the very top of the triangle, you have sort of a maple syrup or a butterscotch flavour. Say the bottom left of the triangle, you have a sort of kumara sweet potato flavour. And on the bottom right is sort of a dates or raisins flavour.
Oh, sounds delicious.
Yes, it is. And depending on which variety you have, it can be sort of anywhere in the triangle. So most of them are generally in the middle. Some are very much like tree potatoes. There's not a lot of flavour to them, but they're very big. And then there are some which are quite small and very heavy on the maple syrup flavour.
Can you grow them to a ripened state in this climate here?
Untested. The oldest plant in the area would be under 5 years old. So it's very, very much untested. And that's what we do. We want to try these plants to see if they can get a foothold locally and be growing.
Oh no, this is a fig, isn't it?
Yep, that's a fig. And this is an unusual plant. Yeah, this is Yang Mei. One of the other names is mountain peach. It's in the family called Murica, or sometimes Morella. This fruit is a berry, roughly strawberry-sized. And again, it's very rare in the country. The only plants that I know that are fruiting are in Northland. The fruit tastes somewhere between a herbal strawberry raspberry flavour. And it's a nitrogen fixer, which means that it supplies its own fertiliser from the air. There's some jaboticabas here, so about 10 different varieties. Brazilian grape tree, again, totally untested locally. They grow fine. There's no problems with them surviving outside. But who knows how well they'll fruit.
Yeah. Where do you get your seeds from?
So there is import pathways for individuals to import seeds from overseas. It's called the basic seed category on the Plant Biosecurity Index. There's about 20,000 species that are on that index as basic. And as long as they are clean seeds, labelled with the Latin name on the seed packet, and the package declares the contents as seed for sowing, as long as all those three conditions are met, then it can just come in. There's a few others we've imported with phytosanitary certificates, such as these because of myrtle rust, they have to be fumigated, and that requires a declaration by the seed seller that they've fumigated the seeds.
So for some of these plants, it's going to take a long time before you can actually determine whether they will fruit successfully in this area.
Yep. Definitely the most long-term of that would be the bunya, which we can go have a look at over here. So this is a bunya here. That's an Australian native plant.
It's a bit prickly.
Very big. It's native to sort of Queensland, two areas in Queensland. It's well known for eventually producing a rugby ball-sized cone. And inside the cone would be, how do we describe those? Well, strawberry-sized nuts, large strawberry-sized. And they're roughly placed sort of halfway between a chestnut and a pine nut. And a very, very important food for Aboriginal Australians. And just a great item to have. So in Australia, there's a bit of a renaissance with the bunya, and people are really picking up the things you can do with it. And it's really, the last few years, there's been a lot of support, and bunyas go fine in this part of the country, but you're looking at 30 plus years to get them to fruit.
You are here for the long haul.
Yeah, definitely.
When did you first become interested in plants?
I've grown plants on and off definitely since being a young kid. I've grown, I think the first thing was probably flowers. There was ferns in there was cacti, there was carnivorous plants, there was medicinal plants. It was all in there. But I think we lived overseas for a couple of years, and while we were overseas, I think that's when it really clicked that we're very dependent on going to the supermarket for our food. Pretty much everyone is. And as we've seen just in the last few years, the feeling of being comfortable at the supermarket can quite quickly change from one of being comfortable to being a bit more like, oh, there's prices. And so that's why we wanted to get people to grow their own food, but in a way in which it's not super high effort. So everything we grow here is perennial. So one thing that a lot of gardeners who grow annuals will know is that if you miss a year, you don't really get any food. If you leave your bed a year, there's no food. Whereas in a perennial situation like an orchard or a food forest, if you don't do any maintenance for a year, you can still go harvest avocados, you can still harvest citrus, the apples are all there, the bananas are still there, and so that's really what we think is a big part of the food security. Is these perennial plants that just grow, and then when you need them, you can use them.
What's that plant over there with the big, lush, dark green leaves?
So that plant, it's a loquat. And yeah, loquat is, if you haven't tasted it, it's a bit like a mango apricot plum kind of thing. Definitely one of my favourite fruits.
And do you know if that will grow to a fruiting stage here?
There is fruiting loquats on the west coast already. They're relatively tough, and you can grow them pretty much in the entire country, I think. I think only some inland parts of the east coast or the South Island are going to be too cold. They can handle sort of close to -10, I think. And as long as the flowering period is not too cold and not too wet, then you're going to get a good crop.
Do you have many plants here that have edible leaves?
We have a lot of plants with edible leaves. One example at the back there is called whakatai. That's in the marigold family. I'll go grab a leaf.
Thank you. The first taste I get is very much passion fruit, but then it quickly kind of goes into mint.
Yeah, it's a little bit bitter, this leaf. So we're in winter rather than sort of early spring, and so maybe those leaves have been on the plant
for a while. This would be nice in salads or cooking.
Yep, South American cooking, it's definitely a key flavour. We grow a lot of taro, so I've probably got about 10 varieties and species at the moment. Some of the old Maori varieties that have been grown for sort of hundreds of years and came from some very old plantations. There's an island in Northland that our variety of red stem Maori taro came from, and it's still early days. The next stage of the program is to start sort of taste testing them and to see what grows best locally, but yeah, that's stage 2.
Beside the nursery, you've got several large banana trees.
Yep, so those are actually our ornamental bananas. We do have edible bananas up the hill that are also fruiting, and we'll walk up to those shortly. The one on the left is a species called Remusa basho, or a basho banana, and we grow that to as what we call a mulch plant. So it sucks up nutrients, and in winter, all of those nutrients are stored safely in the banana tissues, and they're not getting washed out of the soil. And then when spring comes, then we can chop the banana and sort of feed that stem back to other plants. And it's very high in nitrogen and very nutritious for other plants. And so that's the Abyssinian banana, the Musa bosho, and Musa sycamensis, which is the Nepalese sort of mountain banana. And the sort of the goal with all of those is to see what is the best at sucking up nutrients and holding on to them over winter.
Well, let's go and look at the edible banana plants that you're growing.
Yep. We're just coming up to the older banana patch now. So here we have Goldfinger and Mesiluki. Nobody recommends another banana more highly than this. And so, yeah, we've been getting them into the community and getting people growing them. And we're coming up now to a couple of the terraces. So here is a Mexicola avocado seedling that we grew from some seed that escaped from a very old avocado orchard. The skin is very thin, and after you eat the skin, it's peppery. And we're aiming to get this fruiting soon, and then we can do a bit more controlled hybrids and that kind of stuff.
When you say we, who are you talking about?
Oh, me and my wife. She does help me a fair bit. But also I've got a fairly good network locally of people who help. So some of the other stuff people help locally with is, say, citrus. I've got people locally who help with avocados and plant out a bunch of seedlings. And through that process, we look to select better stuff that we can use locally. I've got about 10 different species of ginger. And yeah, we're trying to find, again, and rank what are the best sort of 4 or 5 gingers for the area. So one of the gingers we're quite keen to get planted soon is an Australian native ginger. It's fairly similar to lemongrass, but with a sort of a ginger hint to it. And it smells and tastes like lemon.
We've come about 10 metres further up, and what have we got here?
What we have here is actually a native species of the nettle family from the Kermadec Islands. And this is a plant you should probably cook, but the raw leaves taste like peas to me.
They do.
Cooked peas. Yeah. That's one of the plants where there is no other recorded information of people eating it.
Now you've got heaps of shells scattered around the plants.
So what we do is we spread them through the soil and we try and leave them sort of cup side up. And that way, when they're sort of buried in the soil, they're always going to act as a little reservoir of water. They also buffer the soil pH ever so slightly. Yeah, so here you can see the wick is don't have a look. This is a terrace in formation, and we're about a metre above the true soil level. The terrace is at 1.5 metres wide, almost 2 metres at points. There's, I haven't measured it, but we're looking at 1, 2, 3, sort of 3.5, 4 of them. They're about at least 20 metres long. So yeah, it's close to 100 metres of terrace.
A lot of plantable land.
Yeah, and as we're standing now, we can look down at one of the banana patches of a variety called Pisang Awak. It just means normal banana.
The Malaysian word sounds way more exotic.
Yes. So that one there's now probably 5 or 6 pots. And we'll split those up in spring. And already there's starting to be a bit of a dent in the local area from bananas that we've supplied. So other people are starting to get fruit on their plants, and who knows, there could be a lot more backyard bananas in the Bulla.
John Collier, talking to Cosmo at his West Coast agroforestry nursery at Charleston on the West Coast. Next, near Tibet meets Walking Beckham. A farmer looks into the sky to help him on the land. He took over his Bad Plenty farm 5 years ago, but it was in poor shape. It turns out he had more than just the land to heal.
Over the beautiful wet season that we had, our farm was underwater for quite a lot of it. The paddocks that actually survived, or the better paddocks out of our paddocks are the ones we did the diverse pastures in. And look, I don't know, I'm still learning why and how, but that's one thing I have noticed. It's literally the other paddocks is brown or rusty looking there. So it's been a hard year, but that's one thing I do notice is the diversity, the diverse paddocks of actually survive better than the monoculture paddocks.
It's raining in Otamaraka, not far from Pakahina in coastal Bay of Plenty, where Mohi Beckham farms. The rain is something he's had to get used to in the past 18 months, as it seems like it never stops. So we decided to sit down with a cup of tea in the lounge, with a window the length of the wall showcasing rolling paddocks that lead to the ocean. It's the backdrop of our conversation, where he tells me it was his brother who pushed him back into farming after his mother died.
So we cruised around, I looked around the parts of the country, and this place seemed to be the best location. Rundown sort of things, it was pretty run down. Like, we didn't realise how bad the state of the place was until we actually come onto the farm and check things out. So power, water, fencing, pasture was, well below par. But took a while, we were getting there, but yeah.
So the farm is around 220 hectares in total, bulking over 400 cows. Alongside the dairy operation, there is around 50 hectares being developed into kiwi fruit and avocado orchards. But that has only come after a lot of hard work to get the land back to good shape. When you first came on farm, obviously you knew you wanted to make a difference on this bit of land, but did you know how? Did you know what to do?
Not at all. So I had a couple of friends, mentors, and they kind of took me under their wing, and I've never farmed on this part of the country. You know, it's a different type. Yeah, I'm mostly for paddock farming, so there's less everything. This place just grows everything because of the range of temperatures, and the grass was nearly waist high across the whole farm off 3.2 year. People think that's a lot of food, but you probably get more than out of cardboard, to be honest. That's how quick it is. So we had to get the coastal soil down to lay the platform for us. So by then it was carving. Plus it was quite a bit of condition, but they had to chew it down to get us through. And yeah, we just had to go through the process. So when spring came along, then we could put seed in the ground. But the cows lost a lot of weight over that whole time. We were working twice a day as well. We were kind of farming for survival because we didn't know how the farm worked, what worked well, the good paddocks, the bad paddocks, because they all kind of looked bad. So we got it under, so we put in different species called like paddock cropping, just to try to turn over a bit more palatable, high energy feed for the cows to produce on. And yeah, it was the first 2 years, a year and a half to 2 years.
That takes us to about 2020, 2021.
Yeah.
And obviously at some point you've made a transition again to put more focus on the land and the health of the land. What was the change that happened in you that made that happen for the land?
So around the end of 2020, beginning of 2021, I was always miserable, and I didn't know why. We live on a beautiful farm and a beautiful tree. I was miserable, and I didn't know why. When I saw a counsellor or a shrink or a psychiatrist, whatever they're called, we sat down and she kind of put a yarn in and she brought back all the childhood stuff. A lot of the stuff I believed in was from childhood, and because what we were doing on the farm at the time, it didn't gel well with me. Like the values they went aligned. Yeah. She made me realise that. And I come home, and to be honest, I kind of bit of a tear time. I started realising I was actually crying for a bit. I realised that what we were doing to our bodies, I was putting it into the soil. I wasn't doing the right thing anyway. And kind of like the stuff my mum taught me growing up, that I kind of put on the back burners, kind of opened up my eyes and realised what she was trying to teach me when I was a kid. So regenerative farming wasn't all good back then. To this day, that it's those gardens at the family homestead, topsoil from here to bring in Africa for me, like it's deep as. The food's beautiful now compared to what you can probably buy in the shop. And everything was compost, everything was organic matter, and love and karakia, like coming here and realising, to me, that I understand that way of farming. I understand the other way as well, with the fertilisers and chemicals and whatever, and we still use it now, but we can't use it as much. We use more natural stuff to the earth. And yeah, the whole concept came back from an old lady. We developed the system over time. It's just kind of taken off from there, apart from this last year being here. It's pretty awesome what's happened on farm. And it's not even just at the grassroots level or the money level, it's the people's well-being, our mental health really, really changed. And it was actually quite amazing that it's actually like a whole system thing.
In general, the regenerative movement seeks to build more resilient ecosystems, including waterways, from the soil upward. Mohi says he sees the soil as being like our blood, the foundation, and by creating better soil, it creates better plants and better feed for the animals. But Mohi added another layer: people.
We started up a little bit of a gym, kind of started running around doing push-ups in the paddock, and then I started meeting their wives, and now seeing how their mental health has come a long way since doing that. And I was like, step back and realised, like, well, that's where diversity for us come into play. Like, we had a bunch of dudes just doing stuff instead of one guy working by himself. You know, you bounce ideas off each other, you do whatever, you buy each other a beer, I don't know, but there's a connection there when you're isolated like a lot of farmers are. You just got your own thoughts, and you kind of get a bit stale. And same with, like, in the paddock, we all just had grass. And I was thinking, shucks, imagine if you only ate wheat bix 24/7. That'll suck. And then that's how I saw the cows. And that can't be healthy. So I took that on board and then realised that the health of the plants actually were a lot more vigorous. I realised because of the diversity, the microbiome of every plant, actually, they share with each other what's needed. Like, Chinese sugar, I'll jump on the neighbour's thing and they'll give me a cup of sugar because I've got none. Same with the plant. Like, this one gives off boron, or this one gives that, and this one draws down nitrogen, and they all just feed off each other.
From there, you took it a step further, I guess. You didn't just stay with the regenerative model, but you looked into the maramataka, which is the Māori lunar calendar. Where did that come from, I guess, first of all? Because you're Māori, but that's not something you knew much about, was it, growing up?
Not really. Like, my mum's childhood, they did a bit of that up north, in the far north with their family gardens and that. But I've never really heard of anyone doing things like that to scale.
So for those that might not know what the maramataka is there a way that you're able to explain it?
Yeah, so for me, the maramataka is, most people a lot of people call it the fishing calendar, which is the maramataka. People in May farming following the maramataka with the growing, but they'll go fishing the high energy part of the lunar phase. So all it is just the moon gives off different energy at certain times of the month. So it'll be like the new moon, the full moon, and certain parts of the lunar phase is when good things happen, good time to grow, good time to plant. And other times is not so much. So that's when sometimes your riparian planters, the low energy days, they'll have off weight.
Entwining the maramataka into his plan to turn the farm and his own house around, Mohi hired riparian planters who followed the lunar phases when planting along the waterways.
They put data off as well, what they were doing, and they did say, like, I think it was like if you have 80% survival rate, you're doing really well, and that's it. The conventional guys are getting it. And these dudes were sitting around like 93% survival rate of plants. So that in itself is like, well, you know, instead of a 20% loss, you could have 7% loss. So put that into a dollar term or a dollar figure, that's quite a lot. So if you put that into like a soil health or something that's living, then you realise, yeah, that's a massive difference.
Remember that gym that Mohi mentioned earlier? Well, it's a large shed at the back of his house. It's better known in the community as the hub, where at times it's seen 35 people come at once to sweat it out. This is more of a gym than I thought it was going to be.
Yeah, that's become a vision, to be honest.
So you got everything. You got bench press, you got all the boxing gloves, all the kettlebells.
Yeah, no, it's also very like
What kind of people are coming along?
Oh, mainly farmers, our local vet, some frontier workers, just local communities. So it's free. So we just open up to anyone. As long as you're a good buddy, you can come, really. So afterwards, so might have a glass or two. But that's where the talking happen, and that's the other part of the mental health, you know, the sweat and some high fives, and it's awesome, and then you go sit on the deck, and beautiful view, and some good corridors, and that's where I think a lot of the magic does happen, is people talking. Yeah.
I bet it's been a bit of a blessing, though, this year, to have that.
Massive, yeah. Even for myself, like, I still struggle a little bit here and there, especially with how bad things are going outside. But I'm also probably be in a worse state. And yeah, a few other people have mentioned that, and some of the wives. And we have become really close.
To think, though, that you came here about 5 years ago and you've created all of this in that time, like a whole community.
Oh, no, but what's everyone, eh? Like,
You're honestly being humble, because at the end of the day, you've changed the land as well, you've changed yourself, and you've changed other people. You know what I mean? You must sit back and be like, proud, come a long way.
it's critical. Like, it's awesome. I'm used to being in our own communities, like we live in Central Plateau. So we're a pretty good community as a whole. And we get together, everyone was based around the school. And that's what seems to be happening here at the moment. And it's been really good, but more it's a team effort.
Of course it is.
Oh, hey, back in there. It's still a farm. This is Country Drive on RNZ National Best 101 FM.
We're heading now to a deer milking shed near Tokyo. It's the tail end of milking at Palmer's Aratia deer milking unit. And I'm with Film Manager Robbie Smith.
A new milk deal for our side of this, or dairy for that matter. Very green to dairy and to milk. Initially, yeah, I had a giggle about it and thought, you know, these guys are crazy with my past experience for farming deer. And then sort of the idea sort of grew on me, and yeah, here I am today, and I love it. It's awesome. There's so many unknowns, and there's so many learnings, and it's great.
Robbie certainly knows his deer. He used to work on Palmer's venison farms. The animals about to be milked are the same type, red deer.
Land court breed from focus genetics, and they've got an age structure sort of from anywhere between a first spawner to a 10-year-old. Sort of a variety of age amongst them, and yeah, we do find initially the younger ones are probably better suited to this because they know any best, and sort of they're easy to train.
So it looks like you have several holding pens before we actually get to the farm.
What we call a bit of a breakdown. So we've got a large yard outside, and we take small cuts out of that larger yard, and then they slowly drip into the shed, probably 20 odd at a time.
So why do you do it that way?
Just keep the pork going to it, really, yeah. They don't like to be sort of mopped up and bigger mobs coming to the shed, like sort of, yeah. We want to look after the girls, so yeah, we don't want them banging and crashing around and landing on top of each other.
Palmer, also known as Land Corp, the state-owned farming enterprise, is in its third season milking here, and they've got a good feel now for what makes a good milking deer.
I guess trying to find the perfect hind is hard work. More often than not, the better suited ones are sort of have got a little bit of go amongst them. Like we've probably taken more out that are non-suited because they're too quiet than we have from the other end of the scale from being too flighty.
Really?
Yeah.
Why would too quiet be a problem?
Too quiet because we're just pushing around all day. You don't want to push around all day. It becomes quite long and sort of around the heat of summer usually.
Are the deer waiting to come into milking, or do you have to cajole them in?
Yeah, I wouldn't say that trained like dairy cows just yet. I think we'll have more time, but for now, we just need to sit behind them and give them a bit of a hurry up to sort of, time to go, girls. Initially, we sort of gave them treats of donuts and stuff like that to sort of help relax them in the stalls, and we've gone away from that now. We're sort of giving them their treats in the paddock. So what we're going to do now is we're going to take one hind up at a time into the stall, and it's a pretty simple sort of calm process.
It takes 5 hours to milk a herd of 175 deer. They're milked once a day from January through to May, a much shorter season than for dairy cows. One of the 2 milking assistants from Wales is there to give a hand.
My name is Aled Phillips. I'm from Wales and I'm 20 years old. I've been here now 11 months I have, and my visa is until November. So me and my best friend are over here living the dream.
Are you from a farming background yourself?
I am, yes. I've worked on a dairy farm for about 8 years at home, and I've been brought up on a beef farm, so got plenty of livestock experience behind me, I'd like to think. It's very different to what I'm used to, animal-wise, but they all have the same kind of instincts, and handling deer is something I've never done before, and I'd like to think I've become pretty good at it the last few months, and being so close to them. In the start, you needed a lot of patience. Breaking the new deer into the knob especially. But it's crazy how well they've adapted to their surroundings, and I found it very surprising how easily you could just be around the deer, you know, and how tame they were, especially now. They're running into the parlour and they want to be milked, so we've even given some of them a few names. One of them is called Spud, Chungus is another one. She's quite big, so we gave her the name, and yeah, they stand back in the crowd, so yeah, there's personalities as well. So.
What do your family think when you told them you're milking deer?
Oh, they were loving it, yeah, because honestly it's not something you can do back in Wales, so doing it over here, they were like, well, that's an amazing experience for you.
Have you tasted it, the milk?
I have. I've had a little sample of it. I like to put it in the coffee, I do sometimes.
What does it taste like?
It's quite creamy, and it's a bit sweeter than cow milk, I like to think. But yeah, I'm a big fan of it, yeah.
So we're in the stall with 4 behind.
We are. Pretty cool story here, actually. These 4 hinds here, 3 of the 4, they come up another plumbing farm in February. They were just straight innocent hinds, so